Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com, with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. For today's episode, I'm all on my own. In this regular video series, I round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, me? It's the Full Force Weekly. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Yes, I should have been Pat with me today. Haven't been able to get hold of him this morning, so he's probably sleeping. But that's totally fine. So Pat may join later. I don't know, but he might pop up later, in which case we'll transition him into the show. Hope everyone is doing well this morning on Saturday, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world. Yeah, we've got a lot to get through today, so we might as well get stuck in. Hope everyone's good in the chat. Lots of you in there already. Blooming hell, how's everyone doing? Slacker? What have I done? Oh, Pat, yeah, that's fair enough. Top or bottom of the morning to you, says Yorktown Joe. Yeah, absolutely. Middle of the morning. Me. He's busy enjoying a traditional English breakfast of bacon, fried egg, sausage, mushroom, baked beans, toast, hash brown, and grilled tomatoes. Wow, that sounds great. Now I'm hungry. Thanks very much. And I had breakfast, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, lots to get stuck into. So we'll start first and foremost with Christopher's Comic Corner. Just made that up, but I think that's what we're going to call it from now on. Yes, well, I kind of covered this on the Comics News Burst, if you may or may not have watched that in the week. I will also apologize if the quality of the stream isn't great at the moment, and I don't mean just from a content perspective. I mean from a visual and audio perspective. I am getting a little bit of a kind of little icon, like a Wi-Fi icon popping up. Sometimes that just means that the stream's struggling, and I apologize of course, for that. There's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I've done everything I can. At the moment, it just seems like every time I stream, we're hitting some peak times. So my apologies. Anyway, Scarlet. We'll start with Scarlet. And the issue 1 from Skybound, pre-sale at the moment, not even available yet, but in pre-sale, has already gone way beyond 80,000 orders, and possibly even more than that at this point. But it's basically breaking records from a G.I. Joe perspective. Now, that's not obviously taking into consideration Cobra Commander, which probably will surpass 100,000 comfortably, but that's taking into consideration things like reprints of issues and so on and so forth. So the Cobra Commander issue 1, that had reprints. It had probably, I don't know if it had more variant covers, or maybe it might have had about the same. But anyway, this is Scarlet pre-sale, which is bonkers. So that's really exciting, and because of that, it's made me kind of very on the actual Comics Burst news, the Comics News Burst, I should say. I discussed just how much I'm enjoying this Enon Universe, and in general, like the A Real American Hero comic as well seems to have really kind of picked up in its quality across the board. So I think the comics are in good hands with Skybound personally, and these constant, I would say, these constant kind of records that are being broken, Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet, Destro, they're doing so well that I've got it's just amazing that the first issue, the second issue, and in some cases the third issue are getting reprints because they're selling through. And you just think it's very rare. Usually it's the first issue comes out, it goes absolutely bananas, and that does crazy numbers or whatever. It does decent numbers usually, the first issue of anything. And then the second issue, there's a huge drop off. It's like there's that big marketing push, get it out there, and then it just kind of falls off a cliff for whatever reason, whether it's like people get the first issue and they're disappointed with it, or they get the first issue and they just wanted the first issue. They just want that kind of collector's item sort of thing. Imagine how much a skid mark mini would sell. 2 says Fuzz. I don't know, I'd buy 2 of them on myself, so maybe I am the person that's buying that. Yeah, they'd have to call it trademark in the UK. But anyway, the fact that you've got, like reprints going into second and third and issues is kind of crazy. Not unheard of course, but with this kind of like, I don't know, with this kind of like popularity with the comics at the moment, I'm just very excited, and it's just great that it just keeps going, and it's not just like, we get a drop off after Duke and Cobra Commander. No, it's getting a big spike again with Scarlet and then Destro. So yeah, and I'm sure Destro's going to do well too. Like I can't see that not. I think what's propelling Scarlet is the kind of like the blurb that we've heard so far. The covers have been phenomenal. Speaking of covers, shout out to Pop Gore, who posted this Scarlet issue 1 as a variant that they're doing. And this is a nice one as well. And again, you can find this and the information for it on Pop Gore's Facebook page. And of course, we reposted this on our Facebook page. So if you want to go and dig that out on our feed, then go ahead. But yeah, I wanted to highlight some of the really nice covers that have been kind of coming out recently. Yeah. Sounds and looks good from here, says Yorktown Joe. Full dance force, says the figure 6-pack. Good morning from Hudson, Illinois, says Jaso Low Arts. Or J Solo Arts, as I've clearly not read that correctly, because it says J Solo Arts on the avatar. Sorry, Jay. I'm absolutely curious how her story will unfold. Yeah, same. Jedi Ben says the Scarlet Writer had some questionable prior content, so I'm holding out hope but remaining cautious. From what I've seen so far, with that preview, I think this is going to be brilliant. So again, like you say, you don't know until you got it in hand and everything. But like Skybound have not put a foot wrong yet, in my opinion. So I think we'll see on that one. But I'm definitely optimistic, not even cautiously. I'm just optimistic, and it'll be obviously more of devastating when it turns out to not be any good. But I doubt that very much. Anyway, Pop Gore's cover there for Scarlet issue 1. Then of course we've got this beauty for issue 2, another variant from. I actually forget who did this one. Sorry, I will have to quickly jump on the tinterwebs on my phone, which will probably cause a quality issue again on the screen. It just completely left my mind who did this cover. It's a beauty though, and Jeff Spokes. Thank you, me, for working that out. Yeah, so Jeff Spokes has done that particular cover for with the rock and roll cover for that Duke issue 2. Again, that Duke series, absolutely next level. Just really enjoying it. Transformers and Void Rivals as well. I'm absolutely loving those too. Yes, Yorktown Joe, absolutely. Void Rivals connected to Transformers, Transformers connected to Duke and Cobra Commander, Scarlet and Destro, and the Enon Universe keeps expanding. Yeah, it's going to be great, I think. Would love to see a commercial for the Joe comics again, says New York Night 1974. And so would I. Some of the best commercials in the G.I. Joe kind of like, sphere, the history of G.I. Joe. Some of the best commercials have come out of those comic commercials. One of the ones I absolutely love is because we get because you get certain characters that didn't appear in animation get animated for a commercial, and that I always really liked. I'm a big fan of some of those kind of toy commercials where they go rotoscope as well. And I think the Warthog's in that one, and when they're it's driving along, and then all of a sudden it just turns into this like rotoscope art sort of like kind of watercolor kind of vibe, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, the commercials for the comics were some absolutely next level bangers. And yeah, I would love to see commercials for comics again. But again, like they do, kind of like do a little bit of animation, but like in that kind of old school vibe style to accompany what's going on in the story, and that would be wicked, because then you're getting your kind of classified cartoon in a sense, aren't you? Past says nice classified tanks in the background. Yes, absolutely, and you can even tell it's the HasLab his tank, especially on the right hand side. I mean, you can on the left as well, but because you've got that ladder separation. But you can on the right clearly because of the missile racks and the extra guns on the side. Really like that. Yeah, good spot, Pass. Anyway, great cover by Jeff Spokes there. We also have this absolute beauty of a cover. Now, this is for Destro issue 1, of course, and this one is by John Boy Myers, and I fell in love with this one. I love a lot of John Boy Myers covers are just absolutely phenomenal. That he's done some pretty impressive work on GI Joe so far. He had a few IDW covers in the past, I believe. And yeah, and this is just beautiful. And of course, you've got bats in the background. You've got like sort of like, what kind of helicopters are they, guys? I'm blanking on the name. They're not Black Hawks, are they? They're not Apaches, are they? They might actually be Apaches. But anyway, I love the kind of like military helicopters they've got in the background there. And then, of course, the snake armor, which you never know that we could be looking. Well, past the progress says IG bats ? Well, I think they're just regular bats because we've seen the regular bats in the 5-page preview. So he's obviously creating the bats for. Yeah, I thought it was an Apache. Creating the bats for Cobra, if you know what I mean, I guess. But like, yeah, in terms of Iron Grenadier bats, I don't think they are necessarily, but I think the blimmin' snake armor could be a glimpse into the future there. I mean, I would probably go along the lines of saying it might just be artistic license, kind of making it more mech, but it's absolutely stunning. And if that is the end, if they do end up doing a classified snake armor and it looks like that, absolutely huge thing that a figure could clearly get in, then yeah, I think we're in for something really cool. But yeah, again, like it doesn't necessarily mean that just because we see something kind of new in the Enon Universe comics that we're going to see that particular design of it in the classified series going forward. I think they'll tend to use certain things and characters and vehicles and what have you, and just like, yeah, artistic license takes over a little bit. Obviously, in the case of Destro, it's very clearly reference used for the classified figure. So in essence, they're all IG bats, says Rachel. Well, yes and no. I feel like Mars is like Mars is the the military armaments research syndicate or whatever. They're the ones that are, he's the one, that's his company that's building all of the weapons for pretty much everybody in the world, right? And then the IG side of things, the Iron Grenadiers, is at the point where he goes, I have enough here to make my own army. I don't need to be doing this for other people anymore. I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop kind of like giving the advantage to my competitors, as it were. And I'm going to just, start my own Iron Grenadiers kind of army. And that's what I feel the difference is. Mars is creating stuff for other people, and then IG is like him going, okay, it's me and I'm the army now. And that's that kind of like storyline switch where it goes from Destro supplying to Destro becoming a competitor in the in the market for war, basically. So that is how I view that. So I know it was only a joke about the IG bats, but I think like in GI Joe, it just means a different deco gets put on it at the end of the day, doesn't it? So it's just going to have a different deco than the original bat, effectively. It would be a 6 snake armor pass progo, I think. Apache, yep, that's what I thought. Eventually, got there in the end. It would be cool if we see some unique Energon characters as classified. I'd love MB's hounds. Oh yes, Parsbro, yes, Major Blood's bloodhounds look really cool, and I think that's a possibility by doing like a Major Blood kind of reuse, different head, different secondary, and obviously give them a regular right arm. And you can kind of reuse the Major Blood figure and have a little troop builder thing going on. So I think that's a high possibility in the future. I haven't seen anything regarding that yet in any listings, but that's something I think that could happen in the future. And especially, it's a great way to reuse, some of that Major Blood stuff. But anyway, yeah, lovely cover, love that one. And then we've got this beauty as well. This is a nice one, and this is by Cameron Johnson. And this is a really cool one as well, like very dark, very mysterious, almost like kind of has that sort of monster vibe, like kind of Frankenstein's monster vibe, with the kind of like the lightning in the background, the rain. Love the cape, the eyes all lit up and everything. It's pretty dope. I really like this one. So I wanted to highlight this cover as well because obviously that had kind of piqued my interest. The other thing I would say, and that's, sorry, like I said, is Cameron Johnson. But again, you can find this on our Facebook page. Obviously, I posted it a while ago. Now, I'm not talking about like every cover that's going on within the world of Skybound, because we'd be here for months. And obviously, you've got Talking Joe and the great work that Mark and Tim do on that podcast for all of your comic needs. So I definitely think that's covered in that sense. I also like the fact, like, when some of the covers pique my interest, I like to kind of highlight them and talk about why I like them. And another kind of aspect to this one is the fact that Destro does have a cape in his second iteration, and obviously in his first one he doesn't really have one. I think we have seen it in certain comic covers in the past where they've put a cape on regular Destro, but I just like the kind of meld of those two, of those two things here, kind of like almost creating the cape as almost part of the collar, so it kind of like feeds into the point of the collar back there and flows all the way. I just, and like how it's connected to the back of the collar as well, so it's like the cape is the collar, and he puts the collar around and connects that to the thing, but it's attached, kind of thing. I quite like that. Django Fett Genosha-esque. It is actually, Stanley, yes, the when it's raining. Yeah, Ionic Blood 666. They gave him a cape. Here I go, custom. Absolutely. He looks like he's trying to capture some gargoyles as past the pierogi, big time. I wish Hasbro would get a better toy link to the comics like the old days, says Chris. As in like releasing figures when, kind of when you see them in the comics. It's just going to be difficult at this point, isn't it? Like, you're going to have, there's a lot of things have to line up, and you're talking about an aspect of, kind of like an aspect of like, let me think here. You've got two mediums that need a lot of pre-planning, and the lining up of certain things would only work around like a convention, for example. I think you could pick an arbitrary date for some sort of other release, but you have to take into consideration the fact that those things get pushed and delayed all the time, whereas a convention item is sort of like it has to be done for that point. Like, there's no two ways about it. So I think they could do something where a comic and a figure came out at the same time around SDCC, PulseCon, NYCC, MCM, something like that, where you have an almost like immovable date for an item, and then you could do like a reveal of both at the same time, and that would be kind of fun. But in terms of any other time in the line plan, I mean, guys, that is, you're gonna have to be like, for one thing, the licensing team, the team that are dealing with the comic side of things and the brand team. I mean, that's just gonna have to be like the same, and it's not highly practical. But like I said, I think if they did something that lined up with cons, I think that would be much better. But cool. Anyway, that's that. Then we've got Cobra Commander issue 5, and that obviously dropped this week, and again, another absolute belter. Now this obviously kind of finished up the 5-part miniseries, and it was, in my opinion, it was just a great little mini, really good storyline to kind of get Cobra Commander in position, get a good idea of what kind of Cobra La is and how they're going to be involved in the Enon Universe. And it's kind of like the perfect thing to bring Cobra La into. You've got a Real American Hero running separately, and it's really good at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. It sounds like they're going to be maybe kind of coming to an end with the arc soon. That's kind of happening at the moment. So again, that's because that's what the blurb's kind of insinuating. So I have a feeling that we'll move out of that storyline. Eventually, it'll morph into something else, and we'll probably get into something new again with A Real American Hero. But again, really enjoying the storyline. I can't wait to see how it kind of pans out. So with the Enon Universe, kind of like on its own, the fact that you've got Cobra La in there, it's just perfect that it can exist in there, because you've also got Transformers and Void Rivals and other things that are otherworldly and different and crazy. So G.I. Joe has to be a different thing in this universe, and I think that that's something that I just really enjoy the thought of, with that. Anyway, that's Cobra Command issue 5 that dropped this week. And do I have anything else? Oh yeah, we do have more to talk about quickly. The Kickstarter update for the compendium basically gave us a few more images of the GI Joe compendiums kind of covers and the Cobra one. So we've got the blue and the red going on. And we get to see some of the other artwork that they've kind of implemented into these. So obviously, as well as Snake Eyes in issue 1, we've got Scarlet for issue 2, we've got Stalker for issue 3, and we've got Duke for issue 4. So that's kind of nice. And then on Cobra's side, in the red, we've got, as well as Cobra Commander, we've got Serpentor, Baroness, and Storm Shadow. Again, good choices, I would say, for the compendiums. I'm sure there'll be more that they do in the future that probably have similar kind of like design styles, maybe going into like the IDW kind of realm and kind of compendiuming that. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure what there's probably a bit of a weird cross sort of situation going on there, but the fact that it's fine for them to do the Marvel stuff, so I don't know why it wouldn't be an issue to trade the to kind of put them in compendiums for the IDW stuff. I don't know the ins and outs of that legally, but we'll find out obviously in the future. And also there might be an option in the Kickstarter when it goes live in a few days, basically, that we'll have more options. They might have more options for both Joe and Cobra to choose from. I don't know. But at the moment, those are some of the beautiful pieces of art they've got on that. Now, as well as a Kickstarter update and all of the Scarlet stuff and all of the Destro stuff and all the covers, we also have this beauty. Yes, Brian Hickey very graciously allowed us to reveal yesterday basically the first cover reveal for the trade, the compendium edition of Battle Action Force. And as you can see, it features Baron Ironblood in with his red shadows behind him, and it looks awesome. Now, of course, if you have been sleeping under a rock this entire time, then basically Total Toy Books, Brian Hickey's and Paddy Lennon have done loads of different kind of issues of their Total series and done amazing stuff. And obviously their little company has taken on the mantle of reproducing the Battle Action Force comics in league with Rebellion and Skeletron, and of course Hasbro. So it's fully officially licensed. They're doing the reprints of the Battle Action Force issues. And here, this is the first cover reveal, which is absolutely awesome. And like I said, we'll be talking to Brian about this again very soon on the show. We did an interview with Brian a little while ago. You can go find that on our channel, and we talked a lot about what we were going to expect with these issues. He even had a kind of like a mock-up of what the size would look like and everything, and also how really nice the I call it the cleavage of the book, but when the kind of gutter basically falls almost flat, so you're not going to get that kind of gutter loss with some of the double page spreads, which is amazing. Anyway, more obviously to come from that, and there's an example of the size comparison to a Battle Action Force comic. And if you want a more detailed size comparison that shows sizes against other comics and stuff like that, then you can also go to Total Toy Books. They have posted one of those images on their Facebook page as well. Right then, that I believe is all the comics news. Now it looks as though Pat might be joining us for the next segment. So perfect timing, because obviously Pat doesn't care for me talking about Chris's Comic Corner, so he can come in now and join us for the next one. So next up, we've got a whole host of classified updates to get through. Let's do it. Yeah, that worked.
Hey,
how are you doing, buddy?
doing okay. Sorry that I am late.
Not a problem. All you've missed is all of the comic stuff. But that's good. You're here now, and everyone can be happy. You got here just in time to talk about all the listings information. Just kidding.
Am I here just in time for code words?
Yeah, just in time. You just got it right at the end. No, that's funny. That's hilarious. Right, first half is me. Second half is Pat. Here we go. What are people saying in the comments? Pat's late. Make him do push-ups, says New York Knight 1974. Right, Pat, you get on the floor and give me 50. Stanley says Pat with listings, amazing. Pa says this feels like a plan all along. He'll drop out for the code names.
My internet's about to have some issues.
Yes. Rachel just says Pat and clappy emoji. Thank you, Rachel. Amazing stuff. Right, Pat, how you doing, buddy? Should we do some banter before we get into it? How you doing, pal?
I'm still very tired. I'm so sorry.
Do you know what? It's not even a problem. I was going to message and say, don't worry about it. Just go back to sleep or something. Have a bit more time. But no, it's cool. I was, I just went with it and thought, if you join later, you join later. And look what happened. You're here. It's all good. Right. Let's start then with some artwork, because I know you like a bit of artwork, Pat. And Scott Johnson has been busy kind of like hoiking his wares. He's got Airborne and the Techno Viper, and these are beautiful pieces of work. Let's look at Airborne first, though. Now, these are sold now, unfortunately, if you were looking to buy them. But this is gorgeous work to have, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. So he did this by hand?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
That's impressive. I do really like the way that this looks. It's very nice.
I'd love to see Scott's process, actually. But we'll probably have to get him on for an interview if he's up for it. But he does some really he does this obviously a sketched kind of piece here, which is absolutely stunning. And then you get to his finished kind of piece, and it's photorealistic, and it's just so good. So I want to know that process that he kind of goes through. I'd love to know exactly how he does that. So maybe we can chat with him. I'm not even sure if I wonder if Talking Joe have done an interview with Scott. If so, I'm gonna have to go and dig that out, because I think that would be really cool to check out.
I agree. It looks like he must do it by hand, then scan it in and color it, I assume.
Yeah, that was my thought process on it. But I'd love to know the ins and outs of all that. Really, the Airborne one came out really special, as did the Techno Viper. This is a nice one as well, a bit more kind of dynamism in the action as well.
You know what I didn't do that I probably should have is actually compared these to the boxes to see if there's any sort of differences.
Can I do that? Yes. Okay. There's the side bit of artwork, and then we've got this bit of artwork here on the front. It looks pretty solidly like the one on the right. I don't think they've made many differences or changes that I can see. Yeah, looks pretty straight on that one. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it is straight up that one on the right hand side. They've just kind of cut the sliver out of. In terms of Airborne, I'm pretty sure that's spot on as well. But yeah, absolutely stunning. Really good stuff. And yeah, unfortunately, these are sold now. So there you go. Glorious work, says Diana. Absolutely. That Airborne sketch is amazing, says Chris. Yeah, I have to agree on that one. Yeah, beautiful. And I tell you what, Pat, it's really nice to see, because obviously we are kind of fans of the process, let's say, of creating this stuff. And then to see this, as we do, it's just great, isn't it? Even at this early stage in the life of the line.
Yeah, and I really like the resolution that he's letting us look at these at too, because it's interesting to me the things that he did by hand and the things that he didn't. I'm really impressed that the Cobra logo is there in the pencil. If you'll look, the tech that he added on the wrist, he added when he colored it. But yet the Cobra logo, man, I guess I would have been tempted to just take a Cobra logo and put that in later, but because it looks so accurate and correct, it's really good.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Again, like this, yeah, it's great. So I'm definitely down for these pieces of art, and it's like obviously I'm glad that they exist, but it's weird because I know a lot of artists, and obviously we know a number of artists kind of personally that do stuff for the brand, and
Mhm.
we've heard in the past that they can't really sell their original work a lot of the time, especially if they worked on it so soon. It certainly was the case when the classified line was in its infancy. They couldn't sell like the original copies, could they? It was almost like Hasbro sort of owned that early on.
Yeah, maybe because it's not the fully finished colored artwork, maybe that kind of makes a difference because it's kind of the early stage. I think the other stuff was finished art.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's actually a really good point. Yeah, that is actually a really good point. Um, yeah, cool. All right, well, that's Scott Johnson. Big shout out to Scott, and again, amazing work. Always love his work, and again, he's rife in the kind of current GI Joe kind of brand because his work is on almost everything. Like it's on the well, it was on the website, but then if you think about where that artwork has been utilized since on like merch and kind of like even stuff down to like when they do a live event, the kind of graphics leading up to it, they'll use Scott Johnson's art all over the place for the classified characters. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Ionic Blood 666 says art is best when it's done by hand and not AI. Beautiful. And I have to agree with that. There's an interesting conversation about AI going on at the moment, Pat, which I thought was really interesting and something I hadn't really thought about. But there was this kind of like issue that's arisen that a lot of people that are utilizing AI art, a lot of companies that are utilizing AI art, when they ask for changes, if they're not fully happy with like a piece of work, those changes can't be implemented in the way that they want them because the art isn't created in a way that like is layered in like a big sort of photo like a Photoshop sort of scenario or you're working on like a like layers and all that kind of stuff with artwork in
right.
that sense. So you can't just go in and like change something or move because the AI artists aren't artists necessarily a lot of the time. They know how to use AI. So when it comes to the
Yeah.
thing of like, we want this to be this color, or we want this to be removed, or we want this to be different, they can't do it because when they put the prompt in, it changes the art completely rather than gives you something ever so slightly different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. As the prompts get to be a little bit more precise, I worry that that will become more of a possibility because I
Yeah.
just still want to see artists. I still want to see art from a person, not
Yeah.
art from AI. There's also a
Totally
little bit of
agree.
a conversation of how much stuff is and is not AI because even some of the functions that exist within Photoshop,
Yeah.
how much of that it would could be labeled AI.
Absolutely. I mean,
Um,
let's for example, like I know it's like it's funny because obviously the other thing as well with digital art is that there are techniques in which you can apply to get the right color tone kind of like moving across a piece of like texture or whatever, right? But you don't expect somebody, especially with a time crunch, to go in pixel by pixel almost to do like a phase of color change,
yeah,
like it makes sense. And that's been like a thing on Photoshop for years, not necessarily AI, but it's like as the tech has improved, it's become easier to do certain things. And obviously, like I understand when it comes to things like um, time crunches, deadlines. I understand that totally. But I'm with you 100%. There has to be a person, an artist that is doing that work, that is creating it rather than just typing a prompt into a thing. I feel like that's the difference. It's like someone working on like Photoshop and touching up and using certain aspects to get a result is different than someone just typing in person in front of mountain with a machine gun or something. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. But there's like cartoons where um, you know, like if you watch old episodes of Simpsons or Family Guy, and the character's mouth is moving, they're not necessarily perfect. And in the past, there did have to be an artist who was sitting there timing the words to how the mouth was opening.
Right.
But now, you know, they do have a program that kind of identifies and finishes.
Moves it when
Especially you watch like Peter Griffin's mouth, it moves almost perfectly to the words. And I'm fairly certain that that's just now a computer program that picks the pre-drawn mouth that they have, that they've input all of them. So, you know, to what degree is that now AI? You know, because
right.
AI isn't really AI doesn't determine itself what is and is not AI. You know, it's kind of up to the humans to say that is AI and is not. So that's part of the conversation as well. But you know, certainly something what we're looking at on screen here has nothing to do with AI. And the further we get away from that, I think and the further we get away from anything being considered AI, and the closer that we just know it's art, better.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a deeper conversation as well, like that could go on for hours. But I am totally with you on that one. Like I feel like there are certain points where you have to kind of go, you know, there's no choice but to do this particular thing. But I think in the case of when you're just putting a prompt into a you know, a thing, like it just
to be
feels.
honest, I'm tired of seeing those. I'm really sick of them.
I've had to like I've been kind of again cultivating my feed a little bit and kind of Xing out stuff like that and like trying to like get rid of it, but it still comes through. It drives me nuts. And it's definitely got
replies, and I don't want to ignore somebody. I don't want to ignore the initial poster because of people posting replies with AI, and there have been probably a couple times where I've failed to even notice, which definitely. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like progress, necessity for speed, for efficiency, for getting stuff out there. It's all driven by that need to make as much money as possible a lot of the time. So that's the situation, unfortunately, that drives this kind of stuff. Anyway. Oh, Ryan Costello. Hello, Ryan. He says something a lot of my artist friends who switch to digital art say they realize quickly that not having an original piece to sell cuts off a major revenue stream. That's actually a really good point. And I wonder if like a lot of people have, you know, when they've switched to digital art, did they go back to that thing of doing it by hand to scan it in so they had that original piece in the bag? I think that might be what, you know, has almost driven that sort of way of doing things.
You know, that's all a good thing if you ask me, because I get a little bit sad about the almost the history of things if there isn't that physical piece to come across. You know, there's just a lot of stuff that feels like it's lost once it just goes purely digital.
Absolutely. I have to agree with that. No, 100%, mate, 100%. And like, I mean, how much enjoyment have we had in the past going to cons and seeing like, you know, obviously you being involved in it in a massive way, but the declassified booth and just having like books and books of like art, pieces of art in there. When Ron Rudat, I remember at one of the I think it was HasCon, Ron was in the hall in the hotel lobby with a bunch of us, and he was just going through one of his old, like, you know, portfolios that he had, and he's swinging the pages open. It's just like all of these color studies on this particular figure, the originals, and you're just like, oh my god, like how good is it seeing that stuff?
Yeah, and so much of the stuff that was able to be rescued because of the fact that it unfortunately some of that stuff was put in the trash. You know, but also there are people dumpster diving for some of that stuff.
You
know, even like some of the art, like I remember seeing a piece of presentation art that had coffee on it, and it's like, well, you know, how did that happen? Was somebody being sloppy? No, it was in the dumpster.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, and so it makes sense that that it was saved, but it also it's just none of that could happen if it was something that somebody just clicked delete on.
I I have not identified where the dumpsters are around the Hasbro office. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to be keeping a pretty strong eye out for that next time I'm there. A little more of that in the shout outs later. But yeah, lovely work from Scott Johnson. We'll probably get back on. We'll probably be talking about artwork again very soon. Maybe there's a monthly involved in that, Pat. Maybe we talk some about artwork in a monthly at some point in the future. That might be a good one to kind of discuss. Right, moving on. Go on. You're going to say. Sorry, I was
I
about to
was
cut
just
you
going
off.
to say, and come on, look at the book that Carson just put out.
Oh, I am
I
looking. It's
mean,
right here. I
if all
would.
that was a delete button, none of that could have happened.
I
You know,
would move it, but it's here now. This is where it lives because I can't lift it to put it anywhere else.
is it your new wall?
It's technically holding up this side of the house. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was either I got the book and had to throw it out, or I used it as part of the foundations for the building.
yeah,
That
it's
was the
load
only.
bearing now, so it can't go anywhere. Yeah, it's
No,
huge. It's huge. It's great. But whenever you look at all the sources that he pulled from in order to make that happen, yeah, it did take them a long time to touch things up and to make everything look good to have it presented that large. But there were a lot of things that were never intended to last that he found the transparencies that were meant for licensees and things
yeah,
like that
yeah.
it's just that physics delayed you from moving on
No, not at all.
yeah, it was good. It's great though. If you don't have one of those,
Pat, the protector of art, Stewart, absolutely. Are you talking about the 3D Joe's Omni? Yes, we are. 36
yes,
Cipher. We are. It's the only book that can be used as a foundational building material, without doing anything else to it. It's solid enough. Hopefully, Carson will release a digital version too for easy iPad reading. Hi, Ray. I mean, technically, it sort of exists in 3djoes.com in a sense. It's just not collected that way. But that would be kind of fun, actually, Ray. And Ray, while you're in the comments, bud, stay tuned for the shout outs because you get a shout out, which should have happened last week, but it's going to happen this week. My apologies. But you will be getting a shout out. Oh, yes, Steward of Art. Stewart might have been better pass. Absolutely. Pat Steward. Right. Let's I'll stop saying things. Next up, we have the Ferret, which has been showing up. This is images courtesy of Chris Barlow, by the way. Have been showing up of the Ferret arriving in the UK as early as last weekend. So the Ferrets are coming, Pat. Sounds gross, doesn't it? So, and looking at these images, what are your thoughts on anything new to add, or are you happy with it? What are your thoughts?
well, I don't have either ferret ordered now because my Target card expired. So they sent me a message saying, "Hey, update your card, or else we'll have to cancel the Tiger Force ferret." So I went in and updated my card. They still canceled my Tiger Force ferret, and it's sold out. So, but you know what? No big deal because looking at this, I actually like this one a lot better. I do love the way that they painted the ferret. I just am really not crazy about Sabretooth himself.
Oh, okay, right.
So, I do count that as a loss just because that vehicle looked great. But at the same time, it's still weird to me that the standard versions of all the vehicles are going to a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So this would probably be the one to get, in my opinion.
I wonder if that's just based on the logistics of everything, and also in terms of like cost and all that kind of stuff for when they're doing this. If the Pulse exclusive is the best way for them to do it, like I don't know the ins and outs necessarily, but it feels like any other way of doing it would end up being more expensive, and that's why I wondered why they're going this route initially with vehicles, slightly bigger vehicles, because, well, for one thing, retail, I don't know if they really feel like they can support those kind of things. And like, my thoughts go to things like the Trouble Bubble, like the Python Patrol Trouble Bubble, which I know was in clearance because they were clearing space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it still felt like it didn't really appear for very long. Do you know what I mean? And before it was kind of like cleared
Not
out.
at all. No. I mean, that thing was there and gone. I think maybe if they are putting the main version of the vehicle in the hands of a retailer, it may just kind of take things out of their hands and risk that version not happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like a way to control a little bit because also if you sell out on Pulse, the optics are great, and they always do. So the optics are good, but then it's like we've met that goal. We've met that goal comfortably. We can either rerun it or we can do something else, whatever.
And that's where I think that's what you just said there. I think that's the thing that's really key, because we are seeing some transformers that are happening again, but seemingly only through Pulse and maybe a couple of other retailers.
Yeah.
Fortress Maximus got a reissue, Optimus Prime did, Jetfire did. And I'm talking like after 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not just more that they found. They're most certainly rerunning these things. And if they had put like I'm not saying another Vamp is happening, but so many people are saying that they didn't get one.
Yeah.
That if the main version had gone to a retailer exclusive, I think there'd just be absolutely no possibility of getting that to happen again because of that agreement.
Yeah.
Now, maybe in the future they can rerun a Vamp in like a year or two.
I'll add to that, because I think that if you it's ease as well, right? So
yeah,
what's easier, going on Pulse the moment it comes out, ordering it, and just being like, okay, I'm done, I got in there. There's that kind of feeling of FOMO that you're avoiding. There's the aspect of getting in there knowing that it's going to sell out, right? and you almost like that kind of almost that marketing sort of technique of creating that urgency that you have to get this, or you have to make a decision, yes or no.
Yeah.
And I think most people have almost been trained now in going like, I've got to get this, otherwise it's gone. And so with that aspect, it's not only is it like, okay, I've locked it in, that's good, and it's just going to come to me when it comes, I'm happy, I'm done, I don't have to worry about anything now, I'm good. If it goes to retailers, there's that thing of like, some stores get it, some stores don't get it. Like, one store will have like 50, and then you'll have 5 people that buy one, and then it looks like it's peg warming, whereas there are multiple people searching over here in this state, and there aren't any to be had. They don't exist anywhere in any of the stores. And you think, okay, distribute that better. Not that it's really difficult to work it out a lot of the time, but they've probably done this enough to know that this store sells these really well. The problem is, if they're just looking at numbers, then they're just going to repeat the same problem, the same mistakes over and over again, because they're just sending it to that store sold out. Yeah, because you only sent it to them and you didn't send it to these other stores that would have sold out as well. But you don't know that because you're looking at numbers only, and you're not looking at where were the mistakes made. Let's do some research on this. I feel like that is a job in itself, and it's one that is really difficult to get a grasp on. So anyway, that aside, take that out of the consideration and just go to Pulse, where people have already got they've already logged in, they've already got their Pulse membership, they already know the deal, they order it, it comes to them when it comes to them, and they're cool with it. It's like easy, it's done. You don't pay for it straight away as well. You pay for it like when it comes in, sort of thing, sometimes, whatever. I don't know what's better for people, but like, it's hard sometimes because that changes a little bit. But you don't have to think about it in that moment. And people that are buying it retail do have to consider that in that moment as well. And sometimes you could be there looking at it and go, oh, maybe I won't get this today, or maybe I'll get it later. I'll get it another time. I'll get it next week when I get paid. They come back next week and it's gone. So like, I don't know, that there's lots of things that go into retail buying, and there's lots of things that go in, and there's less of that you have to worry about with the pulse thing. So I wonder if, like you said, like they're controlling it a little bit by going, well, we know what to expect here.
Yeah, I think that all those things you said are positives. It just has to be the fact that because I could see retailers being potentially upset they're not getting like the main version of a vehicle, but all those problems that you just said are good reasons that that's just not happening, and they are getting exclusive things. So, not too much. I guess not too much to complain about there.
Can we joke about? Can we joke about the spelling error, by the way, on the sticker?
I guess I didn't notice it.
It's a pretty obvious one. It's the big text on the left. Can you see it?
How? I guess I need to enlarge it because I can't see anything. I need better glasses.
I'll tell you, it's launch, missile launch information. They've missed an N out.
Well, who knows? Who knows who had to do this on Cobra Island?
Yeah.
You know, or Destro. Somebody that Destro has hired is apparently doing this.
I have a feeling they're dangling over some sort of vat of terrible stuff at Mars Industries right now because of that issue.
You know what? I can see it. I just didn't.
Same. I didn't know. Well, I didn't notice when I first posted the images, and then I saw a few people say they've spelt launch incorrectly. I'm like, oh, really? And I looked at them like, that's hilarious. The thing is, I quite like it when the mistakes are made like this, because it kind of like, you know how, like, I'm a fan. I know you're not, but I'm a fan of the whole Python Patrol Trooper Officer mistake that was made in the 80s, right? I'm a fan of that. I find that quite interesting, and it has a little story behind it, and it's like really cute. And the same kind of thing, like whenever something happens, whenever
I'm sorry, I was reading Brian's comment.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it. Amazing. Codename Iowa, I didn't do it. Amazing. Brian is notorious for his typos. Yeah. So I think these are quite fun when they happen. And I know it bugs some people, and I'm sure it's bugging you right now that I've pointed it out. And I'm one for getting it right, like, and that kind of stuff. But I also quite like these little hilarious mistakes that get made that then become part of the lore. And you never know, that narrative could be picked up in some sort of funny little comics panel down the road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Somebody at Cobra getting in serious trouble for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Paul's pointed out lots. Ant Tank, Nox, Nocks, missile launch. I think there's at least another I'm not thinking of. Yeah, they need to get someone to do the copy who can spell. I think Paul is the answer to that one. Whoever's doing copy, sort it out, guys. Ray says stay in school, Cobra. I like that one. That's genius. But anyway, fun times. I'm definitely going to be asking about these Tampo errors, by the way, next time I speak to the team. I'm going to put some on the spot.
I think the Nox one bothers me more than this one.
Oh yeah, you were really upset about that, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't. I was not happy with that.
Didn't you go to the? Didn't you drive all the way to Hasbro and throw a Molotov cocktail through the window?
But I forgot to look through their garbage.
You forgot to light it. You just threw a bottle at the window. It bounced off, and then you drove off really fast. Yeah, amazing stuff. Anyway, yeah, so that's the Ferret. Again, I'm really excited for this. I do love this vehicle. I think it's really chonky and cool. And honestly, as much as I like the Ferret Scout very much, but I cannot wait to put the twins on this. Twins are going to be sitting on this in the display because they are synonymous with this vehicle. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's that. Also, massive shout out to Adam Howes, a Shark Eye Toy View on YouTube, and Shark Eyes Pics on Instagram. He brought it to the attention of the rest of the world that Australia are getting the retro wave first of Beachhead, Eels, and Snow Serpent. And also, shout out to Adam, who has posted a review of Beachhead. I kind of shared before I went live today on our Facebook page. So you can go check that out on YouTube, a review of Beachhead from Adam. on a Shark-Eyed Toy View on YouTube. Massive shout out to Adam, and yeah, really interesting to see these kind of floating around already. Australia getting it first, UK getting the Ferret first, Australia getting these first. What's going on again, Pat? Distribution gone mad.
Well, Australia makes sense. They're so close to where things are made that totally makes sense to me that Australia would be getting things right away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is really close. I wonder if they hold stuff knowing that it'll get there first sometimes before it gets to Australia, because they don't always get things first, but they do get a number of items, definitely.
They've put a space in Beachhead. He doesn't normally have a space in the name Beachhead.
Oh, I thought he did. I thought the original did.
I didn't think he did. I thought that it was all one word. I thought that was one of the ones that I used to put a space in, and then I learned that it was not the case.
I will quickly check that while we're looking.
I'm crazy.
Oh, you're definitely crazy.
Well,
yeah, it's spaced. It's spaced, and in fact,
it is. Yeah,
the first one was. The second one was hyphenated. The second version was hyphenated as well, which is interesting.
Weird.
So yeah, the first one has always had that.
Yeah, it has.
Take it back, Pat. Take it back.
Yeah, I'm an idiot again. I can't spell.
Do you know though?
So there's my misspelling for the day.
I tell you what, it's really funny though, mate. You talk about that, but I'm doing that all the time. When I'm doing like, let's talk classified this character, I write it and then I go, hang on, is it hyphenated? And then I go and I'm like, oh, the one Viper that isn't hyphenated. Okay. So like, I find sometimes that when there's something Viper, it's usually hyphenated, but in some cases that isn't always the case. I don't think. I think some of them just have two, like, you know, like a whatever Viper doesn't have a hyphen. And I think it is just whoever was doing the copy that day, honestly, a lot of the time, especially with the vintage figures.
It looks like his name changed to all one word in 2003. It remained that way throughout the 25th, I think.
Maybe they're just focusing very closely on that vintage.
That's fine. You know, that's figure, good. Yeah.
It's interesting how these things evolve as well. Like I said, the fact that he had two out of space, then he had a hyphen. Now it's one word. He's had every type of way you could say beachhead. He's had it in his history of having a figure. That's nuts.
Yeah, including just putting his full name in quotes in between.
Amazing. Mike Delta Sierra, thank you so much for the super chat. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. I know you haven't said anything in there. If you do want to just put another comment in, I'll read that out. But yeah, really appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much, Mike Delta Sierra. Toy Bounty Hunter says, honestly, I don't mind other places getting things first because it's a good way for me to get a heads up that these items will be arriving soon and to prepare my wallet. That's a good point. Absolutely. Chucky Tinderbin says, classified something Viper and whatever Viper confirmed. Amazing. First of all, Chucky Tinderbin, greatest name ever. And there's a big story about that. You'll have to watch some of the old news bursts. But that is genius. I love it when people jump on whatever stupid crap I say to say that is now a confirmed figure. Cully, hello, mate. I know I'm missing it. I'm missing the cup final. I'm doing it on purpose because I thought we were going to get destroyed. Mark Cully, shout out to Mark Cully's in the UK. And Manchester United are currently beating Manchester City 2-0 in the FA Cup final, and I can't believe I'm missing it. But I did it on purpose because I thought we were going to get destroyed, and now we still probably will get destroyed. Anyway, I still think we're going to lose, Mark, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. Right. Thank you very much, mate. Have a good day. So that is Retro Wave coming soon, I would imagine, as well to the rest of the world. But again, like if you want to check out that Beachhead review from Shark-Eyed Toy View, you can do so. Now, the last thing to discuss is just a quickie pattern. Honestly, I'm not going to go into the listings today because it's, what's the point? Plus, also, you're already fatigued with having to come and join late on, so we'll just stick to this. Now, Yojo June is obviously right around the corner, very close now. I'm actually terrified. We more or less know that Tuesday, June the 4th is going to be a G.I. Joe drop based on the blurb in that Entertainment Earth drop zone post, which said sign up for a reminder to find out more about this launch, and we'll shout yo when they go live so you can get yours. Now, if we look at the past, they usually do an event early in the month. Sometimes it would fall on like a Thursday or Friday at the, like as it kind of came into like the first of the month. And sometimes it kind of comes a little bit later in the month. And obviously June the 4th is the first week like of the of June. So like Tuesday looks to be when they're going to be dropping things for G.I. Joe. Based on that, it would make sense that Tuesday, June 11th and Tuesday, June 18th, also Entertainment Earth drop zone options, could be G.I. Joe related. So what are your thoughts on that, Pat? Do you think we are looking here at the kind of cadence for Yojo June releases?
Oh, I think undoubtedly. I mean, that seems to be what they do in Yojo June. They don't drop everything all at once, thankfully. Yep. So, yeah, I assume that if you are a Pulse member, it's normally 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, so 10 a.m. P is 10, 11, 12, 1 our time, Eastern. So, yeah. That will be, 1 o'clock Eastern. And that is when they have always really, it's usually an 11 o'clock event with a 1 p.m. Pre-order drop.
Pre-orders at 1. Yeah, so 1 p.m. every Tuesday. I don't know. I guess you could almost set an alarm to watch the show go live probably at 11 a.m. on each Tuesday. And sometimes they just kind of post something that's pre-recorded on YouTube.
Like an Instagram live or something. Yeah. So in the past, we've had one major event, then we had a couple of Instagram lives, and then we had another sort of pre-recorded video. But I think this year, most of the stuff they do live is still pre-recorded now. I think they just do pre-recorded things most of the time now anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is, again, totally fine. But like, I think we can expect like that event on the 4th. I expect that to be the main event. And that will probably have, your kind of pre-orders for maybe the retail wave of 4 figures, maybe a deluxe, maybe a figure pet or something along those lines. I feel like they might separate maybe some of the figure vehicle stuff, and that's what we might see later on in the month. And then my thoughts are that they may even have some sort of end of the month, because we don't have a Tuesday, June, or whatever that would be, 18, 19, 20, 22, 25th. I don't think we've got a Tuesday the 25th on the drop zone yet. But the reason I think there wouldn't be a drop zone thing anyway is because if it's a HasLab that they're revealing, it wouldn't be a pre-order for Entertainment Earth. It would just be an event that goes on Hasbro Pulse.
You think we're just getting a HasLab that last Tuesday of the month?
That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that they build the month up, and at the end of the month, there'll be some sort of HasLab reveal. That's my expectation. It could be completely wrong. And I could have just, I've just built it up and I'm going to be really disappointed. But I think it's going to be these kind of pre-order drops and then an event at the end of the month that's going to be possibly to reveal the next HasLab. That's my expectation. What do you think, Pat?
That seems like a good call to me. Obviously, there's that Cantina that kind of leaked. But as you were saying before, it's not like they haven't had 2 HasLabs running at the same time before anyway.
Yeah.
Because currently there's no active HasLabs, and it kind of felt like there was always an active HasLab there for a while, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I find with the HasLabs, right? I had this kind of thing where I don't know how, like, the brand teams obviously talk to each other, right? Obviously they do, and obviously in a lot of cases, Emily is heading up a lot of the different teams anyway, so she's probably the glue between all that stuff anyway. But like, I wonder how much each brand team not cares, but like, do they really consider that another thing is happening? And if it's staggered, is that enough? Like, if it's staggered so that one starts at the end of this month, and it sounds like they might be doing the Star Wars one for SDCC, which would start in July, obviously, wouldn't it? But then there might be a bit of crossover there. But again, I don't think they really worry if there's an element of crossover. Obviously, running concurrent side-by-side HasLabs would be an issue. But I think if there's elements of crossover here and there, I don't think it would be an issue, personally.
No, I don't think so either. I think that if they're similar items, having them a month, end a month apart, I think is personally, I think that that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But because maybe I'm just being greedy, because looking at
You
that
are.
cantina, I kind of want one. That's the
Pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. I don't personally think that that's anything finished. I think that they used some early images and were just laying out a web page that got leaked.
Yeah.
But the idea of one of those, the idea of a cantina kind of gets me excited.
Do you hear the music in your head whenever you say it? Because I do.
No, actually, I don't. I'm thinking about all the figures that I've slowly been buying over the years, and how outdated some of them are going to look inside that cantina.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway, that is Entertainment Earth's Drop Zone. Again, this is all speculative. We don't know. We don't know the cadence of pre-orders throughout Yojo June, but I think you can expect something on a weekly basis. I think you can expect that standard retail wave of 4 to drop in the month. Figure a couple of deluxe, maybe one deluxe, maybe a figure pet, maybe a couple of figure vehicle options. I think we can expect something like that throughout the month.
And I guess maybe you could just show everybody all the code names of things to expect, which makes it difficult to know what to expect.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, might as well.
There you go. Pat, when I put this up, I just expect Pat to look at a screen that is just just balls of color. There's just like a green blotch on that side. There's a yellow, red, white blotch there. That's what I just expect you to see.
I'm just gonna. I mean,
there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, what's the point in even looking at it? No,
anyway,
this actually, you've made a lot of sense of things on this page.
Yeah, so the standard retail wave of 4, Alpine, Iron Grenadier, Bat, Iron Grenadiers, and another, which we can't reveal at this point, but I would imagine the day before the 4th, it will probably be leaked. So you'll see then. But I expect that to probably hit initially on the 4th of June. I expect them to do that. Maybe a deluxe. Now that could be Fred, which we don't know what Fred is. It could be Atlas, which is Nemesis Immortal. I kind of, the more I think about it, the more I think it's probably going to be Fred, who we don't know who it is, because of the number, the fact that it's an F and then number rather than a G. G seems to be later in the line plan, like when they were changed from the F numbers to the G numbers. So maybe that's something in that. The other thing I didn't mention before as possibilities for the month are, of course, we're in the 60th year, and of course we've got the 60th Action Marine and Action Pilot to come. So the fact that those are, I could see those probably being dropped in and around Yojo June. The next retro wave as well of Cobra Commander and the other two, Oki and Azrael, which again we don't know who they are yet, but they could be also thrown in there as a Yojo June thing. So effectively, there could be a lot of stuff for Yojo June.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that changing up, making it a variety of items is good. Like one wave of a standard retail wave, and then some other things that are more deluxes or with pet or vehicle.
Yeah.
It definitely helps to have the variety in there.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say standard retail wave of 4. I think they'll be in the month. I'm gonna say Road Pig and his animal companion, who we can't talk about yet. And I'm also gonna say Fred Deluxe, right? Again, don't know who that is yet. So I'm seeing those 6 for the first event, right? Then I would expect maybe like a retro wave to be revealed at some point in that week, right? So maybe that retro wave gets pulled out there. So that's what, 6, 7, 8, that's 9 figures. And then 10 and 11 would, what has it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I would expect the Action Marine and the Action Pilot to pop out. And then maybe on top of all of that, a figure vehicle. Maybe Blossom VEH. Again, don't know who that is yet. But I think possibly like 12. Do you think 12 over the month would be? Because we've had, I think that one event we had about 9 pre-orders, one event. And that was just one event at the start of the year.
Yeah, I think that that's probably appropriate. It has felt like things have slowed down compared to previous years. Like Emily did say that this year things would be more spaced out, and it has felt that way.
It has
definitely felt like there's been we haven't been bombarded with like 3 standard retail waves all in the same month.
True. True. That is actually true. They have it's. I think what's happened is they've spread out the format, and it's not like all coming at that short period of time. So even though there's a lot of figures, like that kind of having that bit of space, and I've seen people commenting about how, like, oh, what's going on? It's we haven't had anything for like a month, and it's like, I think that's normal. We're not supposed to be having things every week. Like, that is just crazy pants.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think June's going to be pretty hefty. July obviously is going to incorporate blooming SDCC. That's going to be massive. And then of course it's not very long before we get into like late September, early October for PulseCon, and then 1024, and then the end of the year, because they always release stuff in it. I mean, it's non-stop still, but I feel like it hasn't been as bad at the start of this year. There's been plenty of stuff to enjoy, but it hasn't been anywhere near it was like the end of last year.
Yeah, and the year's pretty much half over. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it, mate. That's nuts. Where are our lives going? They're just going to weeklies. That's where they're going. Anyway, that is pretty much that for the classified updates. There was one other thing, but I mean, I think most people are aware of this at the moment, and that is that the latest 4-figure wave that we're expecting, Doc, Jinx, Night Creeper, and Torch. Always forget one of them. I remember 3 different ones each time, and then forget a different 4th one every single time. So those 4 apparently have been delayed on Amazon. Now I think the situation there is just simply a distribution one. I don't think it's going to be like massive product delays. It might trickle out to the rest of the things like Pulse and all that kind of stuff, but at the moment it just seems to be Amazon. And these things happen. It's been pushed to August, but again, it happens, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but then like I can't remember which Transformer it was that I had I had a notification that it was delayed.
Yeah, and then it came,
and then it showed up on time anyway.
Yeah, so that's another good point. It could just be that they're doing a worst case scenario, getting ahead of something, and then it'll probably happen, and we won't even notice. So good point, Pat. Good point, mate. Right, well, that's it. That's everything covered. Let's move into the shout outs. And I say that's it, everything covered. There's still loads to talk about in the shout-outs as well, as per. Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and, of course, showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status, like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding. Shout-outs. Right then, Pat, you go first, buddy.
Hey, shout out to Philip.
Boink.
Yes, it's up to me this month to get an articulated points out, and I think that I should be able to get it on time. Let's hope.
Perfect.
But yes, I've been working on it late at nights, and it's been making me tired. So sorry, I was late today, but that's part of what has me up late nights.
So your other side hustle is affecting your other side hustle now.
That's right. Yeah.
I see where the priorities lie. I see where the priorities lie for Patrick Notpicard Stewart, and you're absolutely right in putting those priorities in articulated points, because it's brilliant. Can't wait for the next episode, buddy. Can you give us any hints or clues, or are you keeping it close to your chest?
Well, I went to HOARDAR and I stole some images, so there's
he stole some of my images, so I know exactly what he's doing.
Yes.
No, that's awesome.
I didn't just steal images. I was like, "Hey, Chris, can I use your pictures?" Because
I wouldn't have
even needed a couple extra images to pad out.
I would have watched the video and wouldn't even notice that they were my pictures, guaranteed. Or I would have gone, "Hang on, Pat, how very dare you?" No, not at all. I would, like, I jokingly say this, but like if it's you've got free reign to use whatever you want of mine. If you can access it, you can have it. You don't even have to ask. In fact, I want you to actively credit someone else. That's how much I don't care. No, that's hilarious. But I really appreciate you asking me, mate. But again, you're obviously free to use whatever you want on those. Really excited for that. Can't wait to see that video. Brilliant stuff. Now, shout out, of course, to my wonderful wife, Kate. We've had a very busy couple of weeks getting ready for my folks to come out here, because obviously there's still stuff we're doing on the house. So it's like that kind of crunch time now, where we don't have any time ever, but we still have to, do other things. But we've been installing air conditioning. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, still got a little bit to do on that. And doing lots of yard work, which is also kind of fun as well. But also very, Pat's like, get lost. But no, yeah, that's been hard work. But excited to get it all spick and span for the folks when they come and visit for a little while. So looking forward to that. So massive shout out to the UK and US fans as well. And and to Phoebes, of course, who's been helping, as she always does. Also, massive shout out to Brian Sauer for our amazing graphics. And of course, Brian is responsible for Assembly Required at Codename Iowa, of course, which is the in-person convention in Des Moines, Iowa, 13th annual, which takes place on the 8th and 9th of November 2024. More information to come. But before we get information about that, we'll probably get information about it when this drops. Operation Armor 4 lands on June the 1st. So very excited for that. If you are a G.I. Joe fan, go find Codename Iowa on Facebook. Or go to codenameiowa.com and get all the details for when Operation Armor is kicking off. And it'll be on YouTube, and you can just enjoy it. You can sit back and watch all of the cool entertainment they've got planned, including a little thing from Pat and a little thing from me. So we've both got little things going on here. Speak for yourself, says Pat, on Operation Armor 4. I say, look, they're long pieces of work, but very excited to have those happen. Pat, you excited for Operation Armor?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you've prepared. I guess we could tell people that the things that we have prepared are not together. So it's two separate things. And I'm excited to watch yours. Also excited to finally get some feedback from some of the stuff that I had done.
Considering you've been working on it for about 7 years, it feels like. It feels like you've managed to force 7 years of work, kind of like the end of that G.I. Joe classified period of the year where they crammed 1 year into 6 months. You've managed to cram 7 years of hard work into a short period of time in order to get this done, and I'm very impressed that you've managed to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just hope that everybody enjoys this Operation Armor. It's obviously we keep mentioning it because we're excited about it, but I do think that everybody else should be paying attention as well, because it's fun. I enjoy the Eco Warriors. And I still have to say, I really like that green background that he created.
I know.
So good.
It's brilliant. I just think he sneezed on the page and then just digitally colored it. He scanned the sneeze and then digitally colored it with an AI generator. Just kidding. No, he does amazing work, Brian, and really excited for Operation Armor 4. And like I said, for you guys to see what we've produced for it. It should be fun. It's always fun, and it's always a lol. So get involved. Now, also wanted to shout out Ray Murphy, who I did a mini shout out for earlier.
Oh, wow.
Completely forgot to post this last week, but Ray has made a beautiful Sparrowhawk custom, classified Sparrowhawk, which is just the absolute best. What I love about Ray's work, he made a Lightfoot for me, which I've done an unboxing video on. Go check it out. It's a custom classified Lightfoot, and it is perfect. And it's just the cleanliness of his work. Everything looks so perfect. And this figure is just gorgeous. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts, Pat?
Well, he also did a Starcom and gave that to me. So, yeah.
Yes, he did.
The stuff in hand, sometimes you see things online and they just look great online, but then in hand are, good still. But
yeah, but you see the details, don't you? Yeah.
The stuff really holds up. And I kind of feel like this is one of those ones where something like this just needs to happen. I would really like to see this style of figure represented somewhere. Maybe the eagle figure that he has there.
Yes.
That's probably the one that would be what I would pick.
I mean,
But
they've already got parts for it as well, so it's
do.
like, you know, there's
Yeah,
a lot of reuse, but it would be completely acceptable.
yeah. But I also like seeing a figure that actually has some camo, and he made some good choices because obviously some of those figures look a lot the same
Yeah.
in the original line, just minor changes between each other. But uh, the trio that he has here are some pretty clearly different ones, but yet they look like a team. Wouldn't it just be great to
Codename IO with the comment, sorry, Pat's is longer than Chris's when it comes to content for the show, by the way. Thanks, Brian.
I should turn that into a super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would love to have. I know that a lot of people still would be unaware of what it would be if there was like an SAS, or I guess it may have to be the SAF
Yeah.
exclusive line, like if that was going to be the next thing at Target or at Walmart. But man, they look so good. I would like to see this come out in some fashion. This would be a great. Imagine this as a 3-pack.
Oh, don't. Because again,
Yeah,
it's kind of doable. And I know Ray does a lot of amazing like extra sculpt work and extra detail
yeah,
work and takes things from other kind of lines and stuff. So it's not like a case of you can just kit bash this and paint it. But like, you know, that isn't the case. Like Ray does next level work, and I thought I'd highlight that. Thank you, Ray, mate. These are great. And hopefully we do see Palastway Action Force in the line, definitely.
yeah,
What I would also say as well is like I was mentioning, I think I don't think you'd need to necessarily do a sub team. I think you could sneak some of these characters into current things. Like, you know, I don't think Eagle would be out of place in the Night Force theme. The fact
no,
that he kind of almost already exists with Big Ben anyway, I kind of feel like you could probably get away with almost like having him, you know, in the Night Force as well with that. Blades is one that I could, you know, is kind of cool as well. Like, I mean, just maybe a figure vehicle scenario, you know, obviously, if they did a
yeah.
Fang.
Well, yeah, that is true. It would be nice to hold off on him to a time where the Fang would exist, like if they were able to trickle these out. But I don't know. I would like to see there be a little bit more awareness of this by it actually being some sort of set or subset. Even if they did like a 3-pack now and another 3-pack 2 years from now, you know, just getting some of that Paltoy Action Force stuff out there. I'd like to
Yeah.
see it.
RKW says Action Force 3-pack and Red Shadows 3-pack. Yeah, that would be pretty dope, actually. Classified Kraken 100%. Yeah, that would be amazing. A Kraken, just next level. Anyway, yeah. So, and there's a shot of the kind of pack as well, which again, you know, lots of little details in the paintwork and making it look a little bit more like material and leather on it and everything with that kind of brown sort of bit of kind of edge on it and everything. It's just so good. I love Ray's work very much. Anyway, this is not Ray's work. This is my face. And I forgot to mention this last week as well, because I don't know why I forget all these things. I write them down. I put them in blooming documents and everything. Still forgot this one. But last week I visited the Hasbro office. I took Emily, Lenny, and Tony some prezzies, and I was on my way back from work at the time, and I said, "Hey, I'm just round the corner. Do you want me to just drop these off?" And he's like, "Yeah, come and meet me at the door." So I pull in, get out of the car and everything, get into the Hasbro car park in Pawtucket, and meet Tony out the front. Go in to sign in, and you get these little cool like kind of like printed out guest passes. You have to put all of your information in. You have to sign your life away on an iPad first, but it's kind of fun. And then yeah, you kind of sign in. They make you take a picture. So I pulled a stupid face, of course, which they all appreciated, including the person working at the desk at the time. Put the sticker on, and then proceeded to have a tour of Hasbro, which again wasn't expecting. I was just there to hand them a box, and it turned into it's bribes effectively, and it turned into a let's walk you around, you know, Main Street and all the museumy bits and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. I haven't been inside that building since HasCon. We went on a tour with the legends: Ron Rudat, Guy Cassaday, Kurt Groan, Art Pennington. There were loads of people there, like all of like the crew that were basically there for that kind of HasCon Legends kind of situation. And like, so that was the last time I was there, and it was empty, and they cleared all of the super secret stuff out of the way, if you know what I mean. And they lined Main Street up at HasCon with all of the archive original paintings of the Transformers and the G.I. Joe kind of artwork and everything that they still had on easels. Now, it was absolutely amazing. But this time it's changed quite dramatically. There were kind of like loads of glass cabinets with products and stuff like that from, I think, probably their 100-year celebration thing. There was a little art gallery off to one of the sides as well, which had kind of, I think, Magic the Gathering artwork on the walls, like original artwork that they'd had commissioned for box art and cards and things like that. It was really, really cool. And then when you went into Main Street, which is kind of like, as you go into the building on the side, you go down like an alleyway, which, like I said, is like glass cabinets and kind of what you see on 1024. If you've seen that episode when Emily and Mr. Stevie walked into the building, it's like a long hallway which has like little window boxes built into the walls, which have old, like, it has like G.I. Joe, like the original G.I. Joe kind of figures and everything kind of on like a display. Mr. Potato Head, Monopoly, all of the kind of like old school brands that that are kind of theirs basically. Then you get into Main Street, which is cutting across the building like that, and that is kind of like a big vibey area that's got like some of the employees are hanging out, sitting on chairs and stuff. There's a little video arcade to the left hand side as you come into the Main Street, which no one's using because it's it feels like a trap. They said it feels like if you've got time to play video games at work, then you're not doing work. So they feel like no one ever uses it. It's quite funny. And as you kind of go into Main Street, it's more down the right hand side, and you have all these new pedestals that they've built with like the brands on them, like Transformers and Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and Transformers and all that. It's crazy. And they've got big statues and stuff up there. They have a big, beautiful, I think, Magic the Gathering statue. It's like a woman sort of in like flowing robes. And it's crazy, massive and cool. They also had a Connect 4 basketball kind of arcade game. Like kind of ones you see at like a carnival.
Cool. I have not seen any of that.
Yeah, so there's like a little techno bar, which is their IT section, and then just around the corner of that, behind it, there's this like a Connect 4 basketball game. So Tony challenged me for a game. I won, of course. Showed off some of my ex-semi-pro skills, which went down a storm, and then carried on to they've got like a little in-house store as well, like a Hasbro store, and they had some really cool stuff in there. But I was looking for classified figures because you apparently get like, I think 30% off or something, which is crazy if you're in there. But couldn't find it. There was no classified in there, unfortunately. But they did have some amazing Fright features, which I almost bit the bullet. I almost was like, I might have to get these Fright features figures. They were great. Ghostbusters, obviously. And then had a nice little chat with them. Emily then had to run off to do some work, and I was left with Tony. What shame, eh? Just kidding. But we had a good chat. He took me to the cafeteria, which is just opposite. And you go in there, and it's like you can take whatever you want. You can take fruit and chips and soda if you want. And it's just free. Some of it's free, some of it you pay for. But he pointed me to the direction of things that I could just have if I wanted. So I grabbed some chips, I grabbed a soda, and then that was. And then we walked around, had a little chat again. Didn't want to keep him too long, but I was in there for about, I want to say about 45 minutes to an hour. Kind of wasting their time, basically. And anyway, said goodbyes and everything. Was kind of escorted out by security, and told never to come back again. Kind of, how Jazzy Jeff gets removed from the Fresh Prince house every single time.
Yeah, you should have just you weren't bad enough because they could have just tossed you right into the dumpster, and then you could have dug through.
Didn't see any of the dumpsters, but that's definitely going to happen at some point. Any updates on the Dragonfly? Not that I was told, unfortunately, Zoran. Are public tours a thing? No, they're not, Stanley, unfortunately. It was just a kind of, hey, I'm in the area with this thing for you, and I was kind of invited in. So it's not so that you can't just turn up and expect to go on a tour of the building. It was a impromptu surprise, I will say. And I just wanted to obviously extend my appreciation to the team, to Tony, Emily, and Lenny, who was in a meeting. I didn't get to see Lenny at the time, which was a shame. So I'll have to go back at some point and hang out with Lenny. But yeah, gave them the bribes and then left. No leaks, unfortunately, on anything. In fact, Zoran, the only thing HasLab that seems to be an accepted thing, everyone is expecting the Rattler, is all I can say on that one. I don't know personally. I have no clue what it's going to be. I don't know if it is going to be the Rattler, but everyone seems to think it's going to be based on, I suppose, speculative information. But yeah, that's all that we know on the HasLab at the moment. They've kept their cards very close to their chest on this one. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Bosh. We got there, Pat. Did an hour and a half solid.
Well, I've only done an hour.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, thanks for joining me, mate, even if it was a little bit late. But again, it worked out. I did the comic bit on my own anyway. It was fine.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me in. I kind of felt bad. Apologies to everybody for my lateness. I'd say it won't happen again, but I get very tired.
Dude.
Especially like I had to be at work until after 1 a.m. and it's 10 a.m. then to have it's a little tight sometimes.
I totally understand. You are not obligated to be on every single episode, and everyone understands in the comments as well. Do not worry, mate. It's not a problem. Anyway, that's it for the show. Thanks to all our amazing listeners, viewers, patrons. Love you guys very much. Thank you for all the support. Really appreciate it. Pat, have you done those push-ups yet?
No, I'll do those right after we're off. Sure, I'll do
them. Brilliant. I'll have to be over there like Sergeant Slaughter, giving it the big one, or Sergeant Slammer for me. Anyway, we will see you on the next one, guys. We've got Let's Talk Classified Blowtorch coming eventually, and then of course Yojo June just around the corner. It's going to be absolute mania. I think I'm probably going to be doing. It's going to be those things where I do like 2 a days of streaming probably. But anyway, Zoran says, "Who's the guest? Is he new?" That's hilarious. Yeah, he is. Pat, brilliant. See you on the next one then. Stay fresh, cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
And I'm ready with the video this time. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.